You're listening to Brave Girls with Tracy M., where we choose to empower you to be a better leader, mentor, and coach in the world. We'll share stories of people who have achieved great heights by overcoming adversity and rising to the challenge, all while pursuing their passions. These courageous people will inspire you to have faith in yourself and take bold action. Right here with the host of Brave Girls, Tracy M.
Episode 48, Do Something Epic with Simone Morris. Meet my mastermind buddy, Simone Morris, originally from Jamaica, and hear why she thinks you have to do something epic in this lifetime and why hustling is so important if you want to learn and grow in this lifetime. We talk about how important it is to have a strong faith and a positive mindset as your foundation for everything in life. A truly multi-passionate woman, Simone is a huge proponent of inclusive leadership and loves teaching other business people how to be more inclusive in the world. A former corporate gal, Simone tells her brave girl story of taking more risk as she transitioned to full-time entrepreneurship 4 years ago, where she now has multiple revenue streams. I'm sure you'll agree with me that she's a true brave girl that I love to talk with, engage, and learn from. I know you will find her story inspiring as she stepped out on faith, searched her soul, and is now living her dream life with her husband and daughter. Her first book, Achievement Unlocked, was birthed while she was on maternity leave and set her on her way. Her second book, The Power of Owning Your Career, chronicles her corporate journey and advice on why you need to own your career. Today, she runs workshops, retreats, and trainings as a result of her research with diverse people and their career journey. I'm excited to be a guest expert at her upcoming all-day event on July 27th in Stamford, Connecticut, where we will guide the attendees through Simone's framework. I'm so glad that Simone and I both invested in ourselves and said yes to Dr. Shirley Davis's mastermind a few years ago. I'm so happy that we were also able to meet in real life over a crab cake in Baltimore, and we now have a strategic partnership where we are aiming to help even more people do what they love to do. In case you missed it, Dr. Shirley was the featured guest on episode 13 of the podcast, and she's been a great mentor to both Simone and myself. And if you're looking for another podcast, I strongly encourage you to tune into Simone's show, The Power of Owning Your Career. I'm so happy to be able to share my conversation with my friend Simone with you today as you step into who you really are and know that you'll always need to trust and know that you will be okay. So let's go and meet Simone. So welcome to Brave Girls with Tracy M. Today I have my friend Simone Morris on the line with me. So welcome to the show, Simone.
Thank you for having me, Tracy. So happy to be here.
Yeah. So Simone and I met through a group mastermind program, and we were in it for about a year. And then we actually got to meet in person when she had a job where she came to Baltimore, and we actually went out for crab cakes at Pappas, which is
good crab cakes.
Good crab cakes, right? I had to take her there. I had to let her sit in Oprah's chair. And so we have a lot in common. She is a corporate gal who is now out on her own that launched a side hustle and for the last 4 years has been out doing her things. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, because I know that you were an IT person at one time. You got involved in your HR employee resource group, which then led to your interest in diversity and inclusion, which then led to coaching. And now you even have a book, The Power of Owning Your Career and Achievement Unlocked, Strategies to Set Goals and Manifest Them. So get us up to speed, Miss Simone.
All right. You did a really good job on the summary, Tracy. So thank you very much. So you are correct. I am a ex-corporate person, and I do have an IT background. In fact, most of my career was spent in the IT space, from being a developer to a project manager, and doing international projects. I mean, I even managed a SAP project for 14 months in Canada. And you are correct as well that I got my feet wet in the D&I space through an employee resource group. I got tapped on the shoulder to get involved, and I really enjoyed the work because it took me from behind the scenes and really gave me a seat at the table. And what I mean by that is I got to sit down with the C-suite and have a conversation about culture in the organization and get to hear, Simone, what do you think we should do? And I mean, that just blew my mind. Those conversations were near and dear to my heart. I was doing work that I was passionate about, and I really felt that I became an intrapreneur. So I was running what felt like my own business unit. I had a budget. I had volunteers who worked with me to bring a vision to life. And it was something, again, that I was passionate about. So I just really enjoyed that and ended up moving over into HR for about a year sabbatical. And when that year was up, they said, we don't have a head count. You have to go back to IT. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't go back. I've been in this space and I'm loving it. I can't go back to what I was doing. So, next the opportunity came to leave the organization, and it had been about almost 16 years. So I stepped out on faith and took some time off, because I think when you work in the corporate space for a long time, you sort of forget who you are, because you are that corporate brand. And you have to heal yourself and do some soul searching and figure out what it is you want to do. So for me, during that time, I met my fiance. We have a daughter, she's 3, and my life changed dramatically. And I ended up doing some consulting work and said, okay, I am going to do my own thing, and started my business 4 years ago.
Wow, that's a great story. I like your piece of advice about when you step out on your own, on faith, you do need to do that healing, because your identity has become that brand that you've worked for. And
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily who you truly are at your core. And I love that you had the wherewithal to say, I can't go back to what I was in IT, and there's something bigger for me out there. And I love that, here you are 4 years later, you've got a book, you're out there speaking on stages, you're consulting to companies on the thing that you really are a thought leader in, which is that D&I space, right? And the corporate hamster wheel, rigmarole, process, environment, whatever you want to call it. So talk about your book and how, and kind of like how you came to write it, who it really is for, what you're actually seeing. Because I know recently you did an event, you had, a group of people gathered. So talk a lot about like how you got there with the book.
Okay, so I have 2 books, and
Oh.
the first book is called Achievement Unlocked: Strategies to Set Goals and Manifest Them. And that is something that I am passionate about. I have been, a goal getter for many, many years. And so I am proud of that book, because I wrote that it was a long time coming. I wrote it, while I was on maternity leave, sneaking time, 1:00 in the morning in the hallway on the steps writing, and just hoping that I could get through. So it was almost like going through another pregnancy and birthing that. So once I did it, I felt that there was a second book that I really needed to write. And that second book was around my experience in corporate America, my experience getting to the driver's seat, because for many, many years, I was hands off and sort of doing what I was told. And someone would tap me on the shoulder for an opportunity and say, you would be a good fit for this. Are you interested? And with my cultural upbringing, good girl, whatever, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a job. I've got benefits. I've got that. Yeah, I'm interested, because I wanted to stay safe, keep the security. So I did what I was told. I moved to different opportunities, even if I wasn't passionate about it. And even going through the performance review process and setting goals, sometimes I didn't agree, or I didn't connect to the overarching mission or objective, but I felt that I needed to come up with something that would be palatable to my boss or the HR or whatever. So I did it. So I really felt that once I stepped out on my own, I had the opportunity to be in the driver's seat to define my own roadmap and to explore, take risk, and do things to grow. And I really have over the last 4 years. But I felt that I wasn't doing that, and I needed to share it. And I think once I spoke at a conference in Vegas, and the topic was the power of owning your career. And the people in the audience were just loving it. And we had such an engaging conversation. I felt like it was my tribe. I felt like there was an opportunity to really delve more into the topic. And so that is where the book came from. I poured into that. And when I started writing it, I thought, well, here's my story. I work in diversity and inclusion. This is an opportunity for me to be intentionally inclusive. This is an opportunity for me to bring different perspectives in. So I interview 14 different leaders, and their perspectives are shared in the book as well. So I intentionally say, let me bring in a gay male, let me bring in a lesbian, let me bring in, an Asian perspective, African American, all these different perspectives, even based on location. One of the people that I interviewed, he's in Dubai, a fabulous person. But it's a different perspective coming from a different place. And so I pull all that into the book, talk about the formula for owning your career, and basically claiming the driver's seat and keeping your hand on the wheel.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I think there's probably so many people out there, including people that are listening to this podcast, that are they're searching for that book. They're searching for that formula, and they haven't even been awakened to the fact that you can be in the driver's seat and you should be in the driver's seat, and there's ways to do that. So do you feel like now, 4 years later, after stepping out on your own, that you're in the driver's seat?
Absolutely. And let me just say this, Tracy. This is my third LLC, my third business. And so I was doing, I stepped out on my own as a side hustle. You kind of said that in the beginning. So I stepped out, and then I just couldn't figure it out. So I closed shop. And then I did it again, and I closed shop. So I had Simone Morris Coaching was one of my businesses. Another was Jubilee Town LLC, which is where I'm from in Jamaica. And I closed up shop. And just last week, I was looking at the state of Connecticut, just the LLC website, and I saw the dates that I did the different LLCs, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've actually stuck to it this time, full time for 4 years. That is huge in my book. So yes, indeed, I am in the driver's seat.
That's great. Now, did you grow up in Jamaica?
I did. A little bit. I would say I came to the United States when I was in elementary school.
And how much of your Jamaican heritage and roots do you feel has influenced your ability to be doing what you're doing?
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful question. I think that influences me so much as an identity. I see myself as a Jamaican, where sometimes people look at me and say, she's a Black woman. I identify really strongly with my Caribbean heritage because that's what I know. So even though I wasn't in Jamaica, I grew up in a Jamaican household, food, talk, just the way of being, the work ethic, doing what it takes to get the job done. It is instilled in me so strong. And it really, in a way, held me back in my career trajectory because I was being very safe. I didn't want to take a lot of risk. And what that means is when you get opportunities to sort of step out to different locations, I was really afraid of that. And so I stayed close to the fold, close to my family, and I wouldn't take those opportunities that, possibly I would be at a different place today. But I did very well because I did a good job, and, people could count on me to deliver. But I would say that was part of the thing that took me a really long time to stand out on my own. And even convincing my mom that I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, she would ask me, how's the job search going? I'm like, I have a job. I am my own boss. You know, like I am my own boss. I have my own company. And I think she's finally starting to get it. You know, with the books, she's been able to see that, and me being on television and her friends calling her, she's like, oh, okay, let me stop asking her if she's looking for a job. So it definitely impacted me.
Yeah. Well, I think our parents, who are a different generation, probably grew up with different mindset. Like in my case, my parents were both teachers. They played it safe. They, had the paycheck and the benefits, and they stayed there till they retired. Right. And so the expectations of that older generation is, what is this entrepreneurship stuff? Yeah. What is this side hustle thing? Can you really even make money? Who is going to buy your stuff? Like, where is the every 2-week paycheck? And there isn't every 2-week paycheck. However, there are other opportunities that are, the sky's the limit in terms of the fees you can make and the revenue that you can bring in. So how have you sort of learned the ropes of entrepreneurship? Is it just the school of hard knocks?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. You have to try a lot of things and learn along the way. I would say, as you mentioned in the beginning, that the mastermind group that we met in was helpful to me. And the thing that I would say has been the most helpful is opening my eyes to having multiple revenue streams, because I can think back to my other LLCs and just having one focus thing, whether it was coaching or photography, whatever it was, I had one stream of income. So when I wasn't making money, I went through the emotional process of feeling bad. Oh, I'm not doing well enough. But from mastermind groups, and I've done more than one at this point, I learned about multiple revenue streams. I learned to have bigger faith in myself, take more risk, and to really hustle. And I one of the things I really learned in business is to keep your eye on revenue. I didn't have a strong revenue goal for the year, month to month, figuring out how I was going to do it, and had my eye on that. I was just doing what I love, thinking that that's all that it takes to be successful, and that is not all that it takes. There is a huge component of business development. And I now recognize where I am not strong, and I now outsource, bring in additional people to support me in my business, where I would try to figure things out. I know that I don't love QuickBooks, but I would say to myself, I am an IT professional, for God's sake. I could figure this out. I have a college degree, and I would spend the time not knowing the true value of my time to do that activity. So now I'm a big fan of Upwork, and I use Fiverr. And I outsource some things to really allow me to be more strategic as an entrepreneur, and that is what I need to be. And I would also say that the WeBank, the Women Business Enterprise National Council, I'm a certified women business enterprise, and you and I have talked about that. That's really helped me to step my game up. I went to their conference, and the women on the stage knocked my socks off. I realized quickly that I was playing small, and I do not want to play small. And so I would say that is one of the things that's really helped me.
That's great. Yeah, I think we all need mentors, coaches, and guides, just as we can be mentors, coaches, and guides to other women through our programs, through our coaching, and those types of things. And so I think the one thing that you've never been afraid of since I've known you is investing in yourself, and taking those risks and having that faith in yourself. So, I just, so what's kind of your thing for 2019 that you're really focused on this year as a business owner?
In 2019, I've said to my community on Facebook, as well as my sister and myself, that 2019 is my year. I feel that it's my breakout year, and my hashtag word for the year is epic. And I use that a lot when I communicate. And so I'm going to focus on really a lot. One of the things I'm going to focus on is government contracting. I have the certifications, and I really have not been playing in the space the way that I can. I'm going to build out my team so it's not, bare bones, and have a strong team to deliver on these requests for proposals for the government, these opportunities that are out there. So that's one thing that I will focus on, as well as really doing more with my workshops that I do. I'm in talks right now with someone about bringing my workshop to Atlanta, and that's exciting. I'm able to create, and it's almost like another baby for me. So it goes from the book. I've written the book, like I said, The Power of Owning Your Career. For me, I am a lifelong learner. So then I did the podcast, The Power of Owning Your Career podcast. And then I said, there's still an opportunity to continue the learning. And so I did the workshop. And I'm happy with the workshop because people saw it and someone approached me and said, wow, this would be great in Atlanta. And I'm like, oh yeah, it would be. Okay, let's start conversations about that. So that excites me, bringing my work to different areas. I have a vision to speak on the stage in Africa, as well as to go back to Jamaica and have my book out there and speak on that stage. So those are my big goals for 2019.
I think they're epic.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, you really, you've motivated me, and we've talked a lot, just you and I, about the power of hustle, and, keep hustling, keep putting your work out there. And, just believe that the right clients are going to come forward. And so you've been an inspiration to me, and I just so appreciate you doing the work that's out there. I meant to mention your podcast, and so in your podcast you interview people. It's an interview format. I haven't listened to it yet. And it's called Power of Owning Your Career. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, you definitely should be on there, as you are in the driver's seat, my friend. So absolutely. Like I said, I was interviewing in the book, and I learned so much from the interview process that I continued. I said, I've got to keep doing this. I mean, I can do it and do a volume 2 of the book, but I thought, let me bring these people to life. And, people have just been popping up that I have seen people demonstrate behaviors where I'm like, oh, I've got to interview this person. I recently interviewed my virtual assistant connected me with Rebecca Gregory, and she's a Boston Marathon survivor. And I was so filled from the interview that, I'm like, these are the type of people, their messages are out there, but I want to share their message, and I want to learn from them. How do you triumph after adversity? I mean, adversity like that, where she's like, I got into the driver's seat after that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. All right. So it's just, I really enjoy doing the interviews, and we'll continue to do that.
That's great. Now, how much, and through these interviews for both the book and the podcast, how much of what they've said is mindset?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of commonalities and mindset. One of the people that I interviewed, Becky Mollenkamp, she talked about mindset a lot, and she mentioned Carol Dweck. I guess she has a book on mindset. And, I think even the next person that I interviewed said mindset again. A lot of it is on mindset for sure. So it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Astute of you to mention mindset, because I think that is key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think for me, even just being a side hustler, I hired a mindset coach, and I realized that it's so much mindset and limiting beliefs and fear, doubt, and worry that come from that. And, you look at these people who are wildly, wildly successful, whether it's Richard Branson or Tony Robbins or, just down the line, these like uber successful people. And a lot of them have mindset coaches or have really committed to being lifelong learners, just like you, and their personal growth and development, and learning as much as they can about positive mindset and how your thoughts become things and things of that nature. Have you found that as well?
I do. I do. And like you said, I invest heavily in my own development and I am listening to a lot of things. I have to say that who helps me a lot with mindset is Joel Osteen.
Oh
You know,
yeah, yes.
I have a religious upbringing. I believe in God and I listen to Joel Osteen, when I'm washing the dishes or something, and he always has some nugget that comes just at the right time that speaks to my mindset. I mean, it's just amazing. So I'm a big fan of his. I met him once, and just very cool. I enjoy that. But I would say I'm getting my learning from the podcast, from the book, and from the investments. I think from a mindset standpoint, Napoleon Hill, the book Think and Grow Rich, I did a mastermind with the National Speakers Association, and their focus was on the Think and Grow Rich book and going through it. And there's really some deep work in that book about mindset and affirmations, and that really helped me create my own affirmation about my business, how much money I was going to make, how I was going to do it, and really repeat it daily, morning and night, and drill it into my brain. You are going to be successful. And I really saw the difference of that mindset work last year.
Definitely, definitely. And it's a continual process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, some of the talks that you give, do you have multiple talks that you give, or, you kind of work with the organization depending, or, is it mostly about career planning and management and that type of thing? Or is
Yeah,
it also about creating an inclusive environment? Or is it multiple things?
I do. I mean, I did the Bamboo HR Virtual Summit and I spoke on inclusive networking. And I think that's a huge topic because, people talk about being welcoming, but I have had my share of networking scenarios where I don't feel included, whether the room doesn't look like me, anyone like me is in the room, or whether when I'm moseying around, I find it hard to break into conversations. So there's huge opportunity for inclusive leadership / networking, and that is one of the talks that I am passionate about. So I've spoken on that. To your point, the power of your career is one of those exciting things that I speak about as well. I also speak on goal setting and building your accountability muscle. That's something that I've done. I have leadership. I have a strong leadership background. So one of the talks that I do is leadership lessons for the brave. And I also speak on how to get your influencing volunteers for success, because I had to do a lot of work with volunteers before. And so that's another space. So there's many topics that I can speak on.
Yeah, so I've been on boards that rely on volunteers to get the work done, and boy, that is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of, influence, building your influence skills, to get people to, they say they sign up, they want to do stuff, but do they really, and are they going to show up, and are they going to keep their commitments, or is there always going to be an excuse? And really engaging with volunteers is very difficult. I mean, when you're in a corporate environment, people are getting paid. And they're getting performance reviews, but in a volunteer setting, that's very difficult.
It is. And I definitely have been on boards as well as even in corporate. With the employee resource groups, that's all volunteer work and getting people to do stuff and making things a priority. I'm passionate about that. So, and women's empowerment, that women are my tribe. And so definitely I will be speaking next month for Women's History Month on women's empowerment. How do women get in the driver's seat?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, those are my people too. I'm all about girl power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that's why we connected. We had so much in common.
We do have a lot in common.
We do. But I learned something new about you. I did not know you were Jamaican. I don't know how I missed that, but I did.
Oh.
So, is that where Quinnipiac?
Quinnipiac.
Where is that? Is that New York?
No, it's in Connecticut, Quinnipiac University. They
Okay.
do a lot of political polling. A lot of people don't know the school, but they'll say the Quinnipiac poll, da 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 da. And now, they're really known for hockey. And when I went to that school, they were known for physical therapy, and it was
Okay.
close to home. I did not think I was going to go to college. I really didn't.
Really?
I thought that I was going to secretarial school. I used to do stenography, and I would do 100 words a minute, and I was typing. I even got scholarships for that. And my sisters were on the secretarial path. They went to secretarial school, so I just knew that's what I was going to be doing. And the power of mentors. A teacher said to me, she just kind of put a little bug in my head, my business teacher, have you considered college? And it was like, we have no money.
Right.
I didn't think I was smart enough. And, just said try. And I worked with my guidance counselor, and I only applied to two schools, Johnson and Wales in Rhode Island and Quinnipiac. And
Hmm.
I got into both. And I remember my mom saying, Rhode Island is so far. And my mom doesn't drive, right? And
Right.
I didn't drive, and I was afraid. I was going to be the first one. I was the first one in my family who went to college. And it was a big step to leave home. And Rhode Island seemed so far. So I ended up going to Quinnipiac because it's in Connecticut, and it was about an hour and 15. And I felt that I should be able to get home. And,
Right.
that changed my entire life. It just opened my
Absolutely.
eyes to a new world, and my thinking became bigger, and I just blossomed tremendously from college.
Yeah, and then you actually have your MBA from University of Connecticut. Did you do that while you were working in
I
corporate?
did. I
Yeah.
did. I actually went back to Quinnipiac, and I was doing IT. I was doing IT at the time, and my bachelor's degree is in marketing. I once upon a time wanted to be a buyer. So I
Mm,
have a bachelor's degree in marketing with a concentration in retail management. And I went back to Quinnipiac, and I spoke to Dr. Harris. He was the marketing guy. And I said, I am doing a lot of IT work. I want to go back to school. I'm thinking of getting another bachelor's in IT because I think that would make more sense. And he's like, yeah, you don't need another bachelor's. You have one.
right.
And so I had that conversation with him, as well as actually a coworker really encouraged me to go for my master's. And I went for the master's in management of technology. So that is what my degree is in.
That totally makes sense. Well, everything builds upon itself, right? And so you're using your marketing skills in your business now. You've got
Mhm.
that business mind. You understand technology and the power of that so that as you're creating your platform and your message is getting out there, you were a project manager. So you learned how to organize a project, keep it on schedule and under budget and all those good things. And you've got the business acumen. And I think it's great that you kind of almost fell into the D&I space and kind of, you're pulling it all together. Plus, you have your coaching training that you did. So
Yeah,
you've
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
indeed.
So you're like me, like you got lots of certificates and degrees and interest and passions. But, I think it takes all of that in order to be able to serve at a higher level, right? And to have those perspectives that you're able to bring out into the world and to have the confidence to go out there and speak and tell your truth and your story, as a first generation college graduate, like in your family from, you know, as a little girl, and to continually be on this leadership path because you're leading by example for your daughter, for your community. And I know you're also really involved in your community in different organizations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to be a role model for my daughter. And before I had my daughter, my niece, was like a daughter to me. And I really tried to, I have multiple nieces. I tried to be a role model for them and help them to choose college, to have that different experience that I had. And, I'm so proud of them as I look at what they are doing. Just really great things and blossoming, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. So my finale question is always, what's the bravest thing that you've ever done and how does it inspire you today? And I know you've done a lot of brave things. So, and you continue to be brave as I watch you on your journey from afar. Is there something that really was like a pivotal moment where you just pulled yourself together and said, I got to do this?
There are, you know what? It's such a great question, Tracy. And there are, as I think about it, there are several brave girl moments. I love the title of your podcast. I really do. Um, I think that me taking a sabbatical, I took a sabbatical, an unpaid sabbatical from work. I actually got to the point, and I talk about this in the Power of Owning Your Career book, where I was just going to quit. I was so unhappy. I was just going to quit, but I was afraid. I was afraid to leave the money, leave the benefits, leave the access, leave all that stuff behind. But I was acting out. Like I just was not fully in. I was there, but I needed to leave, and I just I was afraid to. So I ended up taking a sabbatical. I actually was granted the sabbatical. And I will never forget this woman in HR, the HR business partner, who said, "What do you want?" Or, and I asked, I don't know where it came from. I asked for the sabbatical and got it. It was shit.
Wow.
And I got 3 months off of work, and it was a breather. It was like, here, someone throw you a life jacket. Like, it gave me an opportunity to press the brake and figure out, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I know I'm unhappy. What am I going to do? And so that is when I started the coaches training.
Hmm.
I went to the Coaches Training Institute and did that program. And when you do coaches training, it kind of opens you up. It's like performing surgery on yourself with these
Yes.
questions and
Yes.
shine a light on who you are. And so there was
Yes.
a lot of that for me. But things happen in the time that they're supposed to happen, because I took that time off. I was able to breathe. I met people. I went for walks. I mean, I did different things that I wasn't able to do. I stopped and I had coffee. I smelled the roses, all that stuff. And then my job came knocking, and they called me back early. And
Oh.
I went back because I still didn't believe in myself. So I
Hmm.
went back because they were having a team meeting in Napa. And I have to say, when they asked me to come back early to go to Napa for this meeting, and we always had fabulous meetings, and I went back. But I still wasn't happy. I went back and I was happy for a little bit, but when you're unhappy, if you don't address the root cause, you can kind of cover that up for a little bit, but then it comes back, and that's what happened to me. So then
Yep.
I got sick, and I had to take a medical leave. And so that was almost like a sabbatical to me. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, but then I was home healing. And it was a sign to me that I needed to make a change. So when the third time came where, my position was downsized, it was like, all right, I don't know how many times God has got to bonk you over the head to show
Yep.
you that you need to do something different. You need to just kind of trust yourself. And I read the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers, my very favorite book. And she says in the book, um, trust that whatever happens, you will be able to handle it. And I just kept saying that almost as an affirmation to myself throughout the whole process. Trust that you'll be okay. Trust that whatever happens, you'll be okay. And I kept saying it, and I just kind of moved through the process. And it really helped me to get through this time that was so scary for me, in terms of a new beginning and walking away from what I knew, the security, of a job. But I was so much happier when I did that. I was
Hmm.
able to breathe, and I'm able to figure out my roadmap, and I'm able to try different things right now and see, if I like it, if I don't like it, okay, let's try something different. And it's just been so rewarding. And finally, my brand, I'm proud to say, when I go to a networking event, what company are you with? I'm with Simone Morris Enterprises, LLC. Oh, you're with your own company? Yes, I am. And whereas before, when I first started, I was like, I try to make something up,
Right.
transition, because I didn't feel proud of my I felt like I needed to be that big brand, and I need to say, oh, I work at such and such company. And then people are like, oh, well, now I'm like, I'm with Simone Morris Enterprises, LLC. Take that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, Simone, that's just beautiful. I love that. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah. Oh, that's just beautiful. I mean, I'm sorry that you had to go through it, but I think you're right. It's like, how many times did you have to be bonked over the head?
Yeah.
And now you're fully free to be you and to bring your work, your body of work, which is so important, out into the world, and to create those things that are epic, that are things that people are looking for at all levels in an organization and at all times in their work career, journey, whether they're in the beginning or mid-career, or, so many of us have to work longer now because of the way the markets have worked out, or just for a variety of reasons. We're living longer. And so, our work life is a bigger part that's much longer than, say, our grandparents and great-grandparents' careers were. So I'm just so grateful that you are where you are and that we connected. And I just love watching your Simone Morris Enterprises grow and touch more people. And so I'm going to put in the show notes links to all of your material, your website, all of that, so people can find you. Is there a particular place where you hang out a lot that you want to drive people to? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any of those?
Oh gosh, it's so overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah, I
But I
know.
do hang out. Okay, there's a couple spots where I hang out the most. I hang out, or I would say that I'm most transparent on my Facebook page,
Okay.
which is just, / Simone Morris Enterprises. And I'm authentic there. I'm authentic, without restriction, I would say. On Instagram as well, I kind of show some of my cooking skills, and
Nice.
I'm always experimenting there. And I love LinkedIn because the message around being in the driver's seat and really owning your career, you need to be in that space. You need to stay there. But I kind of feel like LinkedIn sort of has this filter where sometimes I question myself. It's a work in progress where I'm like, I'm about to post something, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not in corporate still, so I don't have to worry about the company. But somebody's judging what I'm about to put, and that might not be my intent. So I may spend a little bit more time thinking about that. But it's a space that you need to push through, feel the fear, and do it anyway, and play in a LinkedIn space. I highly encourage that to people. So find me in any of those 3 spaces.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Simone, for spending some time with us today, and for being a brave girl and inspiring others, including me. And just keep doing Simone. Keep doing Simone.
And Tracy, please keep doing Tracy. You're doing an awesome job. I am a fan as well.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. as much as I did creating it. Each show is produced with you, the listener, in mind, as you look for inspiration and motivation from other brave souls as you pursue your desires. I'd love to hear your feedback, so please leave me a review on iTunes. I read every one. And check out my website, tracym.com, for more free resources. You can also join my list and sign up for my newsletter right from the homepage. Until next time, stay strong, believe in your dreams, and go do something brave.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M, and hope that you enjoyed the show. For more information about today's episode, as well as additional free resources to help you achieve greatness in your life, visit tracym.com and sign up for our mailing list. Until next time, dream big, believe in yourself, and let your brilliance shine as only you can do.